Good evening, everyone. Happy November, Tuesday the 1st November, and it's a cold one out there tonight. It's the first time in the evening class that it's been dark when the talk starts. I hope that we're all safe and well. Well done to everyone on getting there. Good, bad, in different weeks. Those that couldn't be with us, get well soon, and those that are on holidays, enjoy. I would just like to send some of the members that had a very upsetting week to have lost people very close to you in your family, send deepest sympathy and condolences, and you're in our thoughts and our prayers if we can all keep those members in mind. But I hope that we're safe after Halloween. It's a new month, it's a new week, it's a new dawn, and it's new challenges and new choices to make sure that we're on target. 2 more weigh-ins before we finish up for Plan B. I think most is signed up now, just 1 or 2 have chosen not to, which is absolutely fine, and I will see you back in January. But remember that we do have 2 weeks left. Anyone that is going with Plan B, payment is due by the latest next week, because the last week I have something special planned for us, and I'm hoping to have no official business and no cash box that week, so I have more time to spend and have a little chat with everyone at my little surprise that I have planned. So fantastic weight loss in October, fantastic weight loss this week, and inch loss, especially after bank holiday. But the weight loss for October, as in the group, 28 stone, 9.5 pound. That's lots of people we have lost in 1 month, and 586 inches, which is fantastic. So anyone that I didn't measure this week, you'll be getting measured next week. So I have a little a tally up of your inches, and then when I see it again, obviously I'll be measuring you again that first week back in January to see where we're at. But this week, fantastic weight loss again. If the scale stayed the same, well done, that's a complete bonus. If it's up a little bit, that's okay. Leave the past where it is, and let's move forward this week, and let's make dreams come true and go for between 1 to 2 pound. Okay, so this week's talk is titled Energy. So we have energy takers and we have energy givers, okay? So you'll see the picture of the talk that will go up. Might be a little bit easier to follow along, but obviously I'm not a great artist, as you know, at this stage. The energy takers, we have a battery running on red. Now, we don't allow the phones to run on red, maybe our earphones to die on us. We don't allow the cars to die on us, but sometimes we allow here, go into the red zone, so it's on empty, and also our bodies running on low energy. So just a couple of things that take from our energy is obviously people pleasing. And I think we're all guilty of it. There was big admissions in the classes this week that we go along with the flow of it just to keep the peace sometimes, but really we're not keeping the peace within our own mind. I want you to people please yourself going forward. It's not selfish, and there's nothing bad about it. It's self-preservation, and it's also looking after you. Sometimes what we say is, and I was very much a yes person. Now what I say with 2 things to help me is leave it with me. Or if I'm put on the spot in that moment in time, I say, I'm just going to the bathroom, I'll be back in a second. By the time I come back, the conversation has moved on. But to leave it with you rather than jumping in and saying yes, and then regretting and coming home and saying, what did I say yes for? You're trying to even think of a way out of it, then you end up doing it. And then maybe a couple of days, it's after kind of knocking the stuffing out of us that we're just drained, because we know that we weren't really able for saying yes, and we say, why did I say yes? Why did I not just say no? The next one then is too much screen time, so too much scrolling. So whether that be on Netflix, watching our series, or whether it's on the phone, on social media, screen time does damage us mentally, because what our eyes see, it does take it in. You might think it's not bothering you, but in the subconscious it does. And sometimes when we look at it, we think the grass is green everywhere else, and then we start feeling, well, I haven't a holiday this week, I haven't been out for a meal in a while, and we start making those comparisons, which is all very, very negative. Fear, doubt and stress. Okay, so generally they will find you, but on our weight loss journey we can fear and we can doubt ourselves. Sometimes what I hear at the scales is, I've never lost more than a stone, I've never lost more than 7 pound, and therefore we plateau because we don't believe. It's that fear and doubt that we're not capable of going and losing more weight. Stress is also a big one that can just drain us. Overthinking, again, we can be guilty of that. Live in your moment. That's really the motto for this week. Overthinking and worrying about things tomorrow, next week, next year, worrying about them now is not going to change the outcome of what's going to happen, but we will lose a night's sleep and our thoughts get distorted. Clutter and mess is also a big one that takes our energy. As I mentioned in the class, it's a bit like when I go into TK Maxx, my head goes into a whirl. I know some people love that shop, but to me that's clutter, and my head just gets really, really confused. So like that at home, especially where in our bedrooms, where it's your sanctuary for your rest, make sure there's no laundry, clothes to be hung up. Have that space as calm as possible. Also, a good one is to declutter, so maybe take a drawer or a press or a shelf, especially for our nighttime years. It's a good way of distracting ourselves in the evening. Dehydration, so when we're dehydrated, it can drain our energy as well, because obviously the body is craving fluid for the organs. Not eating enough is a big one. That's coming up now to obviously party season. Maybe Christmas shopping, that you just have your breakfast and then you're in town or in a shopping centre. You might have a coffee, maybe a cake, maybe share a cake, and then you're not having something then till that evening, which is dangerous. So it is to eat little and often. If we start skipping meals, we'll end up putting on weight. Junk food as well is what will drain us. You know yourself, when we eat junk food, we feel junk. Well, I know I do anyway. Overworking, so that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a 9 to 5 job or we're employed. Overworking could be an overworked mother, an overworked grandmother, an overworked granddad. Overworked, generally we're just taking on too much onto our plate and we're not delegating. Okay, so that comes in. I would be guilty of that, because sometimes you think no one does it as the way you're going to do it. But sometimes a way is a way, and once the job gets done is the main thing. No exercise. It's really important that we get exercise, otherwise we feel drained, we feel lethargic. Sitting for too long. So for every 20 minutes that you are sitting, you should be 7 minutes standing. Okay, so they're the statistics on that. Living in the past. So sometimes we can know someone that always lives in the past. One of my friends stands out in particular, and she always goes back to the past, and maybe about 20 years ago. I'm showing my age now. But 20 years ago, and it's all quite negative, and it really, for about 4 to 6 weeks, you can see that it is drained up, because she's mentally trying to process things that happened. And I try to help her the best that I can, but she's just not ready to process those things yet. She's just not ready at her stage of life, and she's just going to have to wait until she is ready. But she tries, but it's very much in the past, and it's negative things. So if it's negative, leave it there. Bring the positive into the future. Living mindlessly, autopilot, that autopilot mode that we just go and rote. Sometimes you might even question how you got somewhere. Sometimes I say, how did I get here? Did I take the Malahide Road? Did I go to Holt Road? Which way did I get here? So it's just like that autopilot, which is dangerous. So therefore, we've too much going on. We're taking on too much. So we just need to live in our moment. Setting unrealistic goals is also in there. You have to be realistic. And sometimes you might say to me what your goal is for the week. And I'm not trying to deflate you when I say to you, well, how about we do it this way? Because I might know the series of what's happened in the past few weeks. You might have shared that with me. And therefore, I'm trying to give you the best advice. I don't want you setting unrealistic goals. You fall at the first hurdle and you throw the towel in. So it is important to be realistic. Okay, so they're the energy takers, what can drain us. So the energy givers, what's going to top up our battery and have it charged on 100% and firing on all cylinders. Up first, you have a sunlight. Okay, so when we get sunlight, take it, throw all the curtains, windows, whatever it is open, get out in it. Vitamin D is a great one. Everyone in Ireland should be on it between October and March for those dark months, because we just don't get enough natural sunlight. But it is the feel-good hormone, the sunshine hormone, the happy hormone that it does help release. And the happy vitamin is what vitamin D is known as. Nourishing food. So when we feed our body properly, we're also feeding our mind properly. Exercise is the next one. So exercise is key. The hardest part about exercise, that first step out. Said no one ever, and correct me if I'm wrong, when we come back from any type of exercise that we say, I'm raging, I'm after doing that. You always say, I'm delighted I did that. I'm not talking about 5k, 10k hours in the gym. I'm talking about the furthest point in the car park. If we're going to shopping centres over the next few weeks, is take the stairs instead of the lift. Those little things that you can do on a daily basis is what's going to help. Drinking your water is really key to stay hydrated, especially that we're all going to have the central heating on, some form of heat, because it is starting to get cold. Fresh air. You know yourself, when you're out in fresh air, whether it's St. Anne's, the Botanic Garden, even just going for a walk, you just feel, when you're out in fresh air, it's just say, oh, that's lovely, because we've been cooped up for too long. Music, okay, so again, that can bring us to a happy or a sad place. So obviously the music that brings us to a happy place and happy memories is what we're talking about here. That will give you energy and you can reminisce about the good times. Meditation is also important, but you have to give meditation and mindfulness time. Great apps on the phone. Again, that's obviously not involving screen time, but you just play them, so you hear the sound, but you have to give it time. I did meditation and mindfulness for years, never really got it. I was always thinking, what am I doing after here, to plan what I was going to do, where I was driving to next, or what meeting I had next. It's only when you're in that moment, and let's say you do it from 8 to 9, you have to be really in that zone. in that mindfulness, in that meditation, your head not elsewhere and in another million different places. And it'll give it time to work, because if it worked for me, it will work for you. Deep breaths, really deep into the diaphragm. The 7-4-11 rule. Breathe in for 7 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out for 11. Okay? Healthy relationships. So nurture those healthy relationships that make you feel good. Because some of them went a little bit during COVID, that we became quite recluse because we couldn't meet friends or family that we might have seen on a regular basis for coffee, a few drinks, for meals, takeaways, whatever it was. So nurture those healthy relationships that make you feel good. Obviously the ones where you go for a coffee and you come back and you say, God, I'm drained, I'm ready for the bed. They're not the ones that we are talking about. And we did have a good discussion about that in our Tuesday evening class. Self-care. So self-care is like personal care. So like we have our shower, we wash our hair, we cut our nails, our toenails, we cut our fingernails, we blow our nose. All those things that we do for personal care. Self-care is important, especially mental self-care. Positive affirmations. So that's why in the group, 3 messages go up every day. You might say, I only get maybe 3 or 5 I can relate to a week, which is perfect. That's the nail that I want to hit, because I'm not going to hit everyone every day. I wish I could. So the ones that you find beneficial and you can really relate and you say, God, that's after hitting a nerve, screenshot them and save them into a folder, those positive affirmations, because I do put a lot of time and effort into them, and I'm really trying to cover such a wide group of us that I hit home at least 2 to 3 times a week with each member on those. Proper rest and sleep, really important. You know, the sleep is one of the top 5 points for weight loss. Your mindfulness is in there. Art and creativity. Lose yourself in it. As I said at the beginning, I'm not a great artist, but I'm starting to draw with Riyadh. He absolutely loves drawing and painting and everything else. And I'm having a right giggle because I'm absolutely brutal and he's laughing at me, so obviously he thinks I'm brutal as well. But you can lose yourself. So it's not about being perfect, it's just about doing something for you. It could be knitting, it could be drawing, it could be anything like that. Being creative, maybe redesigning a room, maybe changing the curtains, whatever it is, to jazz things up. Your last one then is to live in the present. Okay, the gift of today, that's the most important gift, but to live in your moment. So what time are we at now? I think we're just probably gone about 8:10. So live in the moment, live between 8 and 9 on Tuesday the 1st of November, because we're never going to get that back, of 2022. Rather than thinking, well, 10 o'clock I have to go up and I have to do this, and tomorrow I have to do this, and then Thursday I have to do that, and the weekend I have to do this, and next month I have to do this, and have yourself all in a tizzy. Live in the present, okay? Live in the moment, and practice makes perfect. It's not just something that is going to come easy to us. So I hope that helps. You know the drill. Any positive or negative feedback on the video, please let me know. I hope that we all have a really safe week and a good week. Any questions, you know, just to get in touch. But well done, everyone. We are doing fantastic as a group, and it's my pleasure to be doing the video, doing the weigh-ins, and have your support. So thank you, everyone, for your support. Look forward to seeing you next week. As I said, new month, new changes and new challenges. But well done, everyone. Big hugs and kisses to everyone. Bye.